Tonight, we're tracking a story that's developing on three separate fronts. You've got a war that's just exploded, a massive scandal brewing at the White House, and a change coming that's about to affect your future directly. And that right there, that's not just anyone saying that. Those are the words of former Secretary of State John Kerry, one of the most senior diplomats in the country. And what he's suggesting cuts right to the bone of the war America is in right now. So here's the bottom line. The United States is in an active war with Iran. And suddenly, one of the architects of the original Iran nuclear deal is stepping forward and basically questioning the entire reason we're there in the first place.
To really get what's going on, we have to start at the beginning. We need to look at how this whole thing kicked off and the explosive questions now being asked about why it even started.
So what does that number mean? Well, think about this. 1/5 of the entire world's oil supply is squeezed through one tiny waterway, the Strait of Hormuz. And that waterway is now an active conflict zone. The potential damage to the global economy is just staggering.
And this is where it gets really unsettling. The question John Kerry is putting on the table is huge. Given the massive risk, was this war, was it even necessary? Was there really a threat that justified all this?
And according to Kerry, the answer is a flat-out no. His claims are honestly just bombshells. He's saying, 1, there was no immediate danger from Iran that required military action. 2, he says this exact war has been a long-term goal of Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu, who apparently pushed both Presidents Obama and Biden to do it. They both said no. And on top of all that, he calls the current ceasefire remarkably loosey-goosey, which basically means the whole situation is incredibly unstable.
And this is the part that just doesn't add up. Kerry points out that just last year, the president himself was on stage telling everyone that Iran's nuclear program was totally obliterated. So you have to ask, if that was true, where did this sudden, imminent threat that started a war come from just a few months later?
Okay, so you've got this massive international crisis brewing. But that's not all. At the exact same time, a totally different firestorm is erupting right in the White House's backyard. I mean, while American soldiers are literally in a war zone, the administration is moving ahead on a brand new $400 million ballroom for the East Wing. And the way it's being built has set off a political firestorm.
And you know, the problem here isn't the ballroom itself. It's the massive disconnect between what's being said and what's being done. The entire administration platform is built on this idea of America first, with promises to protect American industries like steel. But for their own big project, they're using millions of dollars worth of steel from a foreign country. So, let's unpack this. The steel itself was a donation from this huge company based in Luxembourg, ArcelorMittal. Now, here's the kicker. This donation came right after the White House made some changes to tariffs that could end up helping that exact same company. It raises all sorts of questions. When the White House was asked about it, a spokesman just brushed it all off as Trump derangement syndrome, basically saying people are just looking for a reason to be angry. Okay, so it's easy to look at this as two completely separate things, right? A war happening way over there and some political drama back in D.C. But this is where those two stories collide and land right on your doorstep. Yeah, really? Why should you care about any of this? Why does a conflict in the Persian Gulf and a ballroom in the East Wing have anything to do with your life? The answer is brutally simple. When you have a major prolonged war, especially one that's this controversial, it puts an unbelievable amount of stress on the military. It needs people. And that leads us to the final piece of this whole puzzle, the one that changes everything. Starting this December, a new system kicks in, automatic military draft registration. If you're eligible, you won't have to sign up. You'll just be on the list. The idea of a draft isn't some historical thing anymore. The machinery for it is being put into place as we speak. So let's just step back and look at the picture we've painted. We have a war that's being questioned at the highest levels, deep contradictions coming out of the government, and the very real possibility of a military draft on the horizon. This really does feel like the country is at a crossroads. And John Kerry really puts a fine point on it, with a question that's, well, it's pretty chilling. He brings up a presidential Easter message, where the president talked about annihilating a civilization, and he just asks, what has happened to us? I mean, he's not mincing words here at all. He is openly, publicly questioning the president's state of mind, his ability to actually be the one to make peace and end this whole thing. For a former Secretary of State to say that about a sitting president during a war, it's just extraordinary. And so,
we have to leave you with this question. When the very reasons for a war are being challenged by our own top diplomats, and when the system for a draft is being turned on at home, what does serving your country even mean anymore? This isn't just a news story. It's a question that every single one of us might have to face.